Look out, boxing fans, your boy Ashley Knuckles. Just doing a quick video. Well, it may not be quick, knowing me. I get to rambling. But let's talk. I'm gonna talk about several topics. So this video is basically gonna be just random issues current in the sport of boxing. As you can see, we're right, literally hours away from the PBC on NBC. Boxing being brought back to network television. It hasn't been 30 years since boxing has been on network television. It may have been 30 years since championship boxing has been back on network television, but even then I would have to pretty much question that. Natty Turner brought up a video where not too long ago, Main Events had some fights on NBC. As a matter of fact, I believe it was the same doggone network when they were promoting Juan Diaz at that time. They had Rocky Juarez at that time. You know, Rocky Juarez had the silver medal, so you know they were really giving him a real big push because you could sell the hometown hero, you could sell, you know, the Olympic athlete in boxing. The road is paved for you, which is why Rocky Juarez has had 5 world title shots. Ain't won a damn one of them, but his road was a bit different from a guy who don't have the Olympic pedigree and the lights out amateur career. They were also pushing Panchito Bajado, a guy who was paid for greatness, but it didn't happen for him. I forget who he ended up getting whooped by. I think it was Pollo Valenzuela. You know, Pollo Valenzuela, his record is nothing to, you know, you look at the numbers and you be like, oh, he's a journeyman. And you know what? He probably is a journeyman. But Pollo always came to fight. And when he started getting in decidedly better shape, he started bringing these boys into that water. So I don't know. He could have lost to somebody else, but I remember Pollo Valenzuela because I know he knocked off Ricardo Williams, but I don't know if he knocked off Panchito Bajado too. It may have knocked off Panchito Bajado. It was years ago, so I'm not current. And they were also promoting Kermit Cintron. And the reason why I say championship boxing probably was on network television at that time, because if I'm not mistaken, Cintron beat Teddy Reed on Channel 2 and he won his first world title on that network. But like I said, I can be wrong. But anyway, we're literally hours away, and you know, yesterday evening the weigh-in took place. You know, boxing fans, true boxing fans, pay attention to it all. They pay attention to the press conferences, to the interviews, to the weigh-ins, to the post-fight interviews, sparring, whatever they can get their hands on, articles. They just engulf themselves in anything boxing. Gotta love true boxing fans. And there's an outrage because Broner missed weight for the second time in his career, and he's only 25 years old. I'm not really too outraged about it. I mean, it happens, you know what I'm saying? I'm not giving him a pass. I mean, as a professional, you are expected to conduct yourself as especially if you're telling everybody you're this and you're that, you're expected to conduct yourself as a top-notch athlete. Making weight is just one of those things that come with the job. Now, granted, it's not a title fight. And to my knowledge, no sanctioning organization is sanctioning the fight, whether they were fighting for a title, fighting for a top spot within the rankings. I don't believe this fight was even being sanctioned for any of that stuff. It's just these guys were matched for a good action fight on network television, and they just happen to be two, I guess, top fighters within a division, you know, and you know they were matched together to make an explosive fight for the inaugural PBC free TV boxing for the general public. So I wasn't too outraged about it. You know, I've seen guys who when they go up in weight, They have a hard time holding the weight. Now, when Adrian was at welterweight, he never fought at 47. He could never make that weight. He was always smaller. He always weighed within the welterweight division, which is between 141 and 147, with 147 being the limit. But he couldn't hold the weight as a welterweight. I've always said from 40 to 47, there's a hump there. When I say there's a hump, that's not a boxing term, that's an ashy knuckle term, meaning that there's a big time struggle there. And the reason why I say this is that a substantially bigger man can make that weight. From 47 to 54, there's a hump there. A substantially bigger guy can make that weight. But most importantly, that 54 to 60, there's a hump there. Because I know some guys who are, when they're not fighting, man, they are big and they can make 60. And there is no possible way they can even think about breathing at 54. So when you're going up against substantially bigger guys, they have a substantially bigger punch. They're much more physical, much more stronger. It's a struggle. You know what I'm saying? Well, anyway, Adrian Broner, once he got sat back down by that boy Maidana, he went back down at 40. And from what I was always hearing from like training camps that he's in, is that he has trouble even making that weight. Not trouble as terms that he can't make 40. He has struggles in and he can't keep the weight on long enough to make the weight. Like he would basically, if he just didn't eat healthy meals during training camp, he would end up weighing in at 137, 138. So they got him eating big meals and stuff just so he can hold the weight in order to make the weight. So when I heard that he was coming in at 141, at first I was like, damn, bro, what, you dominating these beef buffets or what? But when I heard it was a plus or minus clause in the contract, what I thought about is that what happened with him is that he's trying to weigh in at the heaviest he can to help him settle at the weight. Now, can I be wrong? Hell yeah, because I'm in the minority. As you can see, everybody else jumping on his ass. So it all depends on, the situation. I'm not privy to that. I don't really know a lot of, I really don't know guys from his camp. I don't know what the situation is. All I know is not for a title, so I'm not going to really jump on him. If the weight was negotiated prior, then it really shouldn't be a big fuss. But if he just bloated because he was blowing up in weight and he just really could not make the weight, then shame on Adrian, and it will reveal itself in the fight. 12 rounds is a long time. 3 minutes is a long time, but if you're a world-class athlete, you're supposed to get yourself in the best shape possible in order to perform at your best within the duration of a 12-round fight. So we'll see what happens. He told John Molina to his face, "I'm stopping you." So maybe we all don't know what we're talking about. Maybe he in tip-top shape, because a guy's body is not always the determining factor if a guy is in fight shape. I've seen guys with horrible bodies, but they can go 12. You know what I'm saying? So it just really depends on the situation here. Or maybe Adrian Broner is just taking John Molina lightly because he beat Hank Lundy, and from what I've always heard on inner circles, not those spurious sources, but just from guys who are plugged in with Adrian, fighters and stuff, is that, Hank Lundy was brought in for sparring for Adrian in many of Adrian's camps, and Adrian has gotten the better of it. So I guess he's probably thinking, a guy that beat him can't do nothing with me. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what he's thinking. I'm not Adrian. So we'll just have to see what happens tonight in that fight. I'm not changing my pick. We'll just have to see what happens. Maybe his talent will bail him out, or maybe he'll end up getting clipped. I mean, Emmanuel Taylor was able to land on Adrian, but they can't hit me. They can't hit me. I'm a spot him 10. You can't hit me. Anyway, man, we'll see what happens. Taylor hit you. So, and Gavin Reeves hit you. And Paulie hit you. And Maidana hit you. They can hit you. You need to start tightening it up. So, anyway, enough on Adrian Broner. I wanted to switch topics and talk about Rock Nation. I don't know what it is, man. These rappers, man, it's a good thing that guys are crossing over in terms of business. Rappers are crossing over into the sport of boxing. It's a lot of money to be made in boxing. Boxing money comes much faster than it does for music, and especially in today's era of music when everybody's downloading everything anyway. So, they got to find clever ways to actually get the money that they think they deserve or they do deserve for the product that they put out on CDs. So, but boxing is a different animal. It's a dirty game out here, folks. It is a dirty game. And like I said, when I first did a video on when 50 Cent was coming over, and everybody thought, oh, because 50 Cent is a great businessman, which he is, that he should have just easy success in promoting it. And I was the one to say, oh, slow your roll, grasshopper. It don't work like that. You got to have connections. You got to have a marquee fighter that the networks are interested in showcasing on their network. Um, you gotta have connections. You just gotta be plugged in. It don't just happen because you got money. Because guys who fought before tried to promote and it didn't work. And they have money and they have a name and it still didn't work. Sugar Ray Leonard tried promoting. It didn't work. Hearns tried promoting. It didn't work. And then you got promoters that's been around for years. But where are they? I don't see these guys. You know what I'm saying? They once were promoted on these networks. They're nowhere now. So, it just don't work like that. But we'll just have to see. Ward was in litigation with Goosen Tudor Promotions, headed by Dan Goosen. Rest in peace, Dan Goosen, who passed not too long ago. Heard he was a good guy. I didn't know the guy, so I have to take the word of guys within the industry that he was a good guy. And Ward hadn't been in the ring for a while. In fact, when you look at Ward's career, he wanted to be different from everybody else. And this is what I'm gathering from my own interpretation. I've never talked to Andre Ward, but just looking at his moves that he's made in his career, it seems he always wanted to take a path different to what the popular path may have been. And it seems like his signing with Rock Nation is just another step in that direction. When he turned pro from winning a gold medal in the Olympics, he signed with Goosen Tudor and Square Ring Promotions, Roy Jones. And at that time, I questioned his motives. I didn't do a video on it. I'm not even sure if I was doing videos at that time. But I always wondered why would he do that? Because those guys weren't the top promotional outfits in boxing. The top ranks in the Don Kings were. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sure they wanted him. And if you don't sign with Don King, then you're one of many who probably thought that Don was going to be getting you at some point. And you probably was true, but you know what I'm saying? If you got guys who go over the contracts through the letter of the actual document, then you can get over being screwed. Granted that Don hasn't already gotten to the ear of your managers and advisors, like it's a dirty game. You know what I'm saying? You can get kickbacks as a manager and advisor, and then they tell you, yeah, man, sign the contract, bro. It's airtight. Well, anyway, it did work out for Ward. He did get fights. He did get fights on networks. He was very fortunate. Like, he got into the Super Six, which gave him a lot of exposure. He never had to fight outside of Oakland. He was selling out the arenas in Oakland, and it worked out for him. And once he got in litigation with Dan Goosen, and he was finding a way to break away from that contract, he now signed with Rock Nation, who again is a newcomer coming into the sport. They don't have no connections, and they have personal animosity with the guy who is the top dog in boxing, which is Al Heyman. And I guess Ward didn't want to be like everybody else and sign with Al Heyman. And I'm thinking in my mind, why the fuck not, dude? You are so much different than a whole lot of guys that are signed with Al Heyman. You are Andre Ward, dog. He can push you. You are Andre Ward. You're undefeated. You're the top dog at 68. Al Heyman has so many fighters signed at 68, and now that you're with Rock Nation, who the hell you gonna fight? Who are you gonna fight? You already, I'm acting like I'm talking directly to Andre Ward. he already doesn't want to come out of Oakland. He don't want to travel overseas to fight. And with this signing with Rock Nation, it seems like that's going to be your only choice because you can't fight Saki Obika again. Not saying that you will want to. You already fought him. Um, you can't fight any of the Durrells because they're signed with Al Heyman. You can't fight Brandon Gonzalez because that's your boy. You can't fight uh, who else does Al Heyman have in that division? You can't fight Badu Jack. He has a fight with Anthony Durrell coming up for a title. If he was to beat Anthony Durrell, you still couldn't fight Badu Jack. We're not even gonna talk about Jay Leon Love. He's on Project Rebuild because he just got knocked out. So your only options at that weight are guys that are all overseas, and they know because of your signing with Rock Nation, if they're really savvy businessmen and they keep their ear to the actual world of boxing, they know that you really don't have a lot of options at that weight. You don't want to fight Carl Froch again over across seas where the money is, the bigger money is. You already beat Arthur Abraham, so I'm sure you don't want to fight him again. You got James DeGill out here. Maybe he'll fight you in your own hometown, maybe not. You got Stieglitz out there. He's overseas. I believe he fights in Germany. Felix Sturman's out there. He's been fighting in Germany. There's money there for that fight. You got Groves from the UK. I'm sure there's money in the UK for any fight with Andre Durrell's, not Andre Durrell, but Andre Ward's name on it. And I really don't know what options this guy has at 168 pounds. I mean, I really don't know what he's gonna do. I think signing with Rock Nation, man, you really put yourself in a situation as if you had signed with 50 Cent. And just because these guys throw you numbers, that doesn't mean they have the ability and the networks and the connections to get you the fights that you're supposed to be getting, man. How are they going to get you the money to fight a Andre Durrell or to fight a Stevenson or something like that if they can't secure you that fight? So yeah, that number is looking real good on paper, but if the other guys people are blocking the fight, guess what? You ain't making nothing and you're still not in the ring. At this moment, the biggest thing you can do is get into the ring and fight. And if they're throwing you all these numbers for you to have fights with top-notch guys, and you're not fighting, these guys are not fighting you because of the animosity between these two entities in terms of these two companies, the people that represent these companies, and guess what? You're gonna still be out of the ring for a crazy amount of time. At this current juncture in boxing, I know it's cool to go with the new face. They got a lot of money, got a lot of clout in the business world, but this is still the business of boxing, man. You got to go with who you know can get you the dates. And at this time, Rock Nation cannot get you any dates, man. But hopefully, since HBO is not the HBO that they were when they had, what was his name? Ross Greenberg. Since they have Ken Hirschman, and Ken Hirschman, in my opinion, has been a disaster since he's taken the helm at HBO. We haven't seen any of the quality fights we've seen in the past. They lost damn near all of their talent that they had on their roster because he's known to be a penny pincher. The media used to marvel at how much money he was saving Showtime during his tenure with those guys, but Showtime wasn't specializing. They weren't dominating the championship boxing scene. They were dominating the show box scene, the bringing forth new talent. You're not paying new talent top-notch dollars, but all the world-class fighters were with HBO, and guess what? They're not there anymore. I wonder why. And they lost the biggest star that they've had, the star that they spent so much time building. They lost him because they really didn't think that he had what it takes to be a pay-per-view attraction. They thought Pacquiao was the guy, and they lost Mayweather. But they just got Canelo back, so we'll see what happens on that front. Now back to Andre Ward. Since his options are not plenty at 68, I guess he can go to 75, but he's already stated he don't want to fight at 75 yet. which I really don't understand why you made a 175-pounder drop down and weight and fight you, and he was the champion at 75. You could have dared to be great and went up to his weight and got his title, but you didn't do that. Maybe that's a little bit more of those diva conducts I was hitting at earlier. So you don't want to fight Stevenson. Well, you can't fight him now. You don't want to fight Kovalev. He's there. You can fight him. You don't want to fight Bernard. I guess he said he will fight Bernard Hopkins, but at this point, what does a win over Bernard Hopkins do? It's going to be a name on your ledger. The Bernard Hopkins' age is finally catching up with him, so I don't know if you'll get the same credit that you once would have gotten if you had fought Bernard Hopkins back in the past. Um, but I guess that fight is doable. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if Bernard Hopkins is interested in fighting you. I remember in the past he said he wouldn't. Excuse me. So I don't know if that fight's on the horizon for you. Pascal is about to fight Kovalev. If he loses, are you really going to fight Pascal? I mean, like I said, I really don't know what Andre Ward's going to do. I mean, kudos to you for signing with Rock Nation. Hopefully they can get you the fights that you need to continue to build on your very impressive legacy thus far. But I've been around for a long time, and I just don't see it happening. I see more inactivity unless you're fighting uh, a no-name, a journeyman or something like that, and they just overpay you for it, which I guess you could be due for that. Other fighters have gotten overpaid in the past while you were fighting top-notch guys. So we'll see what happens on that front. Also, Cotto signed with Rock Nation. Um, Maybe that would be a good look because now Rock Nation has a marquee fighter. They have a fighter that the networks will be interested in showcasing because Cotto is the third biggest pay-per-view attraction in boxing behind Mayweather and Pacquiao. So maybe with the addition of Cotto being on that, being with Rock Nation, it would be easier to secure dates where a potential war fight would be more attractive because there would potentially be more money there for a war fight as opposed to a war fight just taking place alone in Oakland. So we'll just have to see on that front. But it's still, again, my question would be is who is Cotto going to fight? Is he going to continue fighting at 60? If he's going to continue fighting at 60, who is he going to face? He ain't going to face Kid Chocolate. He ain't going to face anybody that they have with Al Heyman. Who is he going to fight at 54? If I'm not mistaken, the bulk of the talent at 154 belongs to Al Heyman. He's not going to fight any of the Charlos. He's not going to fight the Lauras. He's not going to fight Trout. He's not going to fight, well, that would be a rematch in the fight that he lost, so that would be a great fight for Cotto to avenge. But that ain't happening. He's not going to fight, I don't know. Maybe if James Kirkland beats Canelo, he can fight Kirkland. Because Rock Nation, I don't see why Rock Nation and SMS can't do business. If you can get a network to give you a date for that fight, I think that would be a great fight if Kirkland comes off of an impressive victory over Canelo. And I guess Cotto can fight Canelo, but you didn't need Rock Nation to fight Canelo. That fight was on the table for you already prior to even signing with these guys. So, maybe with Rock Nation you can get more money for Canelo. What the hell do I know? I have not seen any of those contracts, and even if I saw the contract, I probably wouldn't be able to interpret it. I only know this much about business law, and that's from school. So, um, all I can say is good luck to these guys, especially Cotto. He is not in the same situation as Andre Ward. Cotto maybe has about 3 more years left in him, and good years left in him. And Andre Ward is still in his prime, and this is not the way to be spending these prime years, man. A guy in his prime in boxing needs to be fighting.